This is Meredith McCormick, Secretary of the Roger Sherman Building Committee. This is our meeting on Tuesday, January 5th at 7 p.m. And I'll hand it over to Chairman Eric Lang.
Hello, everyone. This is Eric Lang. The meeting is called to order. First item on the agenda is an update from Colliers on remaining punch list items, building inspections, and financial status report. Mark, do you want to update the committee?
Yep. Pretty simple. The diversity took the opportunity over the holidays, the week off, to get in there. They have reported they have completed their punch list and the items for the building official and the fire marshal. They have a inspection scheduled for next Monday with the building official for him to sign off on the project, at least with the interior.
Great. Has Silver Petrocelli confirmed that all the punch list items have been satisfied?
Not to my knowledge, no. I just got the report from diversity this week, so I'm not
we
sure.
haven't gotten our eyes on it, but from what we heard, everything seems like it's there. But no, as of today, we haven't gotten our eyes on it. But obviously, we will.
Do you have a day scheduled for you to go out and confirm?
Not as of yet, no. But that shouldn't be an issue to be able to schedule.
Schedule that for this week, or?
We're going to try to get that scheduled this week. I know we wanted to just circle back around with the group and see what works, whether anyone's joining us. So, but yeah, we know we want to move this through quickly.
Great. Okay.
And then any other questions regarding the work?
Mark, so I just the APR grill got painted, and the 4 ceiling tiles that Joe Sesti talked about before, and the light cover, that stuff got taken care of, the lights on the stage.
Well, the lights on the stage, there's not been a PR issued for them to provide a proposal for. But as far as the grill, the grill, not having eyes on it, the work was supposed to be, the grill was supposed to be painted, and the ceiling tiles and the light cover was supposed to be fixed.
Okay.
Sorry, I was on mute. Those are all items that they have advertised to you as complete.
Correct. And the list for the building official as far as labeling the RTUs and getting that done for them.
Okay. Okay. Great. Any other questions on the work from the committee before we move on to the financial status report?
This is Jen. I have a silly question, but I'm just curious. When are we permitted to take the yellow caution lines off the roof? Is that an OSHA thing, or it obviously looks like we're still under construction. At what point are we allowed to take those down around the rooftop unit?
I would say it's going to... Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, well, is it caution tape or is it the guardrails? Because the guardrails are supposed to be up there. If it's caution tape, it should be, if they're not performing any other work up there, it should be down.
Right.
So I will let them know
I think it would be. Right now, it still looks, very much under construction up at the rooftop. And if we're really not performing any work up there, it'd be nice to get that taken down if there's no security issue.
Yeah, I think they were just keeping it up there because they were still waiting for their final walkthrough. So if they were bringing the building official or anybody up there, I think that's it. But my guess is there's no reason why they can't take it down at this point.
Great.
Okay.
If there are no other questions, I will continue with the financial status report. Sent it out yesterday afternoon. We are still showing we are under budget by approximately $100,000. We're basically all that is in the construction contingency. And if we move along on in that report that I sent, I did include the FEMA accounting, and we are still showing that we are $37,000 under the FEMA limit, based on what's included and what's excluded. So where we're at in the project, and basically substantially complete and done, we are in good shape financially.
Well, good. We have enough money for the plaque.
Well, would that be included on the FEMA or excluded on the FEMA? Actually,
That's funny.
And then just to round out my update, I do not have any additional updates, but we do have invoices and owner change order 2 that will come up on the action items. And with that, that'll be the conclusion of my update.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions for Mark from the committee before we move on to Silver Petrocelli? All right, not hearing any. Next item on the agenda is an update from Silver Petrocelli on construction and change orders.
So in terms of the change orders, any of the open items that we had with change order number 2 and state change orders have been signed and were sent through to be processed. So that is sort of in the works on any active paperwork that we have. In terms of the owner and maintenance manuals and such, we've reviewed those. Those look to be in good shape. The drawings, the as-built or record drawings, we have comments back to them. They essentially just mimicked our design drawings and called them record drawings. So we're sending them back to them to create real record drawings. And, that's it. We're kind of just getting to the tail end of the paperwork. We submitted to them a list of items that need to be worked on as far as closeout, such as CHRO items, their bonding and their release of liens and their paperwork. So we have that checklist submitted to them. The anticipation is once these 2 open applications that Mark will present are approved, that's gonna help them get to the closeout phase, just because they got to pay the rest of their subs because they have 2 open applications open. And with that, it's moving towards any closeout. as far as change orders, there's still things that need to get. If they're going to present them, they need to, present them at this point. But nothing new has been sent to us since last we spoke.
Just to jump on the PCOs. Sorry, this is Mark Schweitzer with Colliers. Just to jump on the PCOs, we did meet with them on December 16th for an OEC. We did give them a deadline for the PCOs of December 23rd. I have not heard anything come back with the PCOs, with the exception of PCO 8, which got reviewed and sent back to them for additional information on it. So the only open PCO right now, that is for the roof protection of the roof during the tropical storm.
Okay. And that just came through.
That was a late. That was
never submitted. That was never submitted right at the time. At the time of
Correct.
the event, we didn't get a change order. 2 weeks after. This came in months after, as essentially a charge for additional protection, essentially tarps and labor to provide additional protection to the rough opening that was in the roof. His position is that this was an unanticipated weather event that was, more extreme than just a normal summer rainstorm, and that they had to react to it at the last minute, which required labor and, minor materials of tarps and protection and plywood and so forth. So we were going back and forth on that one.
How much is it for?
$2,000, I believe.
Yeah, it's relatively inexpensive, but
yeah.
Just wanted to take.
Dave, can I have a question?
Okay. So,
McCormick. The shop drawings, I know we talked about that in our last OAC meeting on December 16th. Did you get back to them right away? We just haven't heard anything for the past, 2.5, 3 weeks?
That's correct.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll get to change orders in a second, but has there been resolution and final agreement on the large electrical change order that we had approved for time and materials? Has that all been resolved and that final accounting been complete and agreed upon?
No. I guess the owner of A&R, he's basically a one-man front office. I guess he spent some time in the hospital in early December, and he had gotten out, and they were going to go back to see if he had any responses to Silver Petrocelli's comments.
All right. And it's I feel like this has been going on for months.
It has been going on for months, and if I can just interject and just say to Mark, can you please get back to diversity and tell him, we asked for this stuff December 16th. I understand there were holidays and everything else, but basically no work has been, they did finish up the punch list items, but all this small stuff that we're waiting for, they've had plenty of time. And
2 weeks.
We're back to it, yeah.
Well, it is the onus is on them to prove that they spent the money for the PCO, and if they want to get paid, they will need to provide the information that they have.
Right.
And essentially, you're holding their retainage. So, at this point, we're just equally as frustrated as we keep asking for it.
And they handed back the same drawings we gave to them and said that those are the as-built or whatever. And, it's just, I know we're all on the same page, but this tail end here with diversity has been a little unacceptable in my world.
Is there any way we can be more? Is there any way we can be more aggressive and letting them know that it's unacceptable? And
we have. That's the frustrating thing.
Well,
yeah.
I think your leverage, Patrice, is you're not paying them. You're going to be holding their entire amount of retainage. That's going to be the incentive.
What, $104,000?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Okay. It sounds like you've led a horse to water and they're not taking the drink, and that I just don't understand when we close that down, So that'll hold our project first. That's okay. I get it. Yeah.
I suspect we'll see they'll be more incentivized to work on it this month. I think the end of December, everybody's mindset was somewhere else, and he's going to realize that there's a lot of money out there, and the only way to resolve it is to fulfill their obligations. So we will continue to remind them of that.
Okay, good.
All right. Okay. Any other questions for David? All right. Not hearing any. Next item on the agenda is to consider, and act upon the following items. First being the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of December 15th, 2020. I'll make a motion to approve these minutes. Do I have a second?
Oh, a second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion from the committee? All right, not hearing any. All those in favor of approving these minutes, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And aye.
All right, thank you. I think everyone has approved. No, any nays? Abstentions? All right, not hearing any. Next item is change orders. Mark, do you want to present the change orders that you sent over?
Yep.
Earlier in the week, yesterday, I guess, or today?
Yeah, yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yes, yesterday. I thought I was on mute too. Really, this is owner change order 2, which is just to increase the contract value of diversity for 2 PCOs that were previously approved. PCO 3, which is for the ceiling fans in the APR, the existing ceiling fans in the APR. They weren't shown on the drawings. They were needed to be removed to do the duct run in there. So this was their efforts to remove the ceiling and remove ceiling fans and the conduit in the APR, actually in the gym. Sorry. And then PCO 7, which was as a result of the PCO inspections by the fire marshal. He had some heads that needed to be relocated before he would sign off on them, and PCO 7 is for the fire sprinkler subcontractor to perform that work.
Right. And for my fellow committee members, these were items that were presented to me previously that I had approved under the powers vested in me to keep the work going and get it done over the holiday break while we had the opportunity. And that was done after consulting with Mark, Sal, and David as to the validity of them and the appropriateness of the values. So.
Could you just clarify what the amount was for the PCO 7 and PCO 2, was it, or 3? Yeah.
PCO 3 was for a total of $2,723.25, and the fire marshal work was $3,183.78 for a total of $5,907.03.
Okay. Thank you.
So I guess given that I had approved the PCOs as a committee, do we still need to, I guess, approve this change order?
Well, so long as it didn't go beyond your scope and practice, we didn't put a minimum on you, I don't think. We didn't put a dollar minimum, did we, on his power, on your power, Eric?
I think we put a maximum.
I think there was just
okay. No way you didn't.
Just a maximum.
It, so. Yeah. I think you could just, state this as acknowledgement to the committee and pass it through.
Well, I would defer to Gerald on that to make sure that he has what he needs to write the increase to the PO.
Yeah, hi, this is Gerald Foley. Yeah, I think the committee, as Eric mentioned, he does have the authority to act on things, but typically he would bring it back to the committee and have the committee approve it, or just at minimum acknowledge that the items, but ideally I would just say just approve it, just approve that expenditure so it's into the record.
Okay. All right, so I guess, if everyone is okay, we can move it to a vote. But I guess before we do, are there any questions from anyone on the committee about either of these change orders or my approval of them?
Motion first. I
make a motion that we approve the change orders 3 and 6, was it? In the amounts
7.
Previously 7. Any amounts indicated.
Second the motion.
All right, thank you.
Cool.
Any additional questions, comments from the committee? All right, all those in favor of approving this change order, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And aye.
All right, thank you. It's unanimous. The ayes have it. And so this was the only change orders in front of us at this time, correct, Mark?
Correct.
But there may be the final accounting on the electrical T&M and potentially a change order or PCO.
PCO 8. Either way, we're going to touch PCO 1 again and issue a credit change order back to them, either for the amount that was shown on the T&M tickets or the amount that less the disputed amount. So either way, we're going to touch PCO 1 again, and then it's just PCO 8 if that is approved.
Got it. Okay. All All right, so moving along. Next item on the agenda is to hear, consider, and act on outstanding invoices. So the first invoice is from Collier's Project Leaders in the amount of $4,448.45. And we'll make a motion to approve this invoice. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. So this invoice is through November 30th. Is there any questions, comments from the committee?
It's Meredith.
Not here.
Mark, I have a question. Have you talked to your boss about what the billing is going to be to the committee now that we're going into January?
No, I have not.
Okay.
With the holidays. Yep.
Yeah, before the next meeting. Thanks.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions from the committee?
Is, the conversation with Mark's boss, is that because we're looking for a discount or what?
Well, I just, if this is, yes, I'm not looking to keep paying everyone every month for this, this project just to kind of drag on. There hasn't been a ton of work really in December. We met twice in the OAC meeting, so I'm just wondering how much more we're going to have to pay Colliers and how long.
Understood. Yep.
Because everything after January, everything after December, starting this month, is not an extra amount of money that we didn't budget for.
Right. Yeah, that's a fair point of just the potential for ongoing and continued costs while we wait on the contractor to finish up. So, as I think it's in all of our interest to push them to do so that we don't, just continue to bleed the project. Bleed the budget. All right. So regarding this invoice, any additional questions from the committee? All right. Not hearing any. All in favor of approving this invoice, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And aye.
All right. Thank you. It's unanimous. The next invoice is invoice 8 from Diversity in the amount of $48,534.43. I will make a motion to approve this invoice. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Thank you, Patrice. All right. I'll open it up for discussion.
Yeah. My question is with this new bill, how close does that bring us to their allotted amount and the retention retainage fees?
Balance to finish balance to finish, including retainage, is $118,000. And this pay application is to reduce the retainage from 7% down to 4.5%.
So there's I think some back and forth earlier today on on the release of retainage. Gerald, you had indicated that there's certain things the town needs before we do so. Could you just advise for the full committee, that discussion and what you would need before we, or what we would need to consider before we release any additional retainage?
Yeah, so hi, this is Gerald Foley. Yeah, so what happens when it's a state-funded project, or a project that basically we're going through this group called CHRO, it's a state agency. They have certain requirements that they pass these requirements on to the town. And one of them is what they call is basically holding the retainage. And so what they require the town to do is to hold retainage until the contractor has met certain requirements. And so with this particular project, what will happen is they first have to file, I can't think of the term, but basically it's just showing that they're going to be in compliance with basically diversity type of rules and regulations. So they submit a plan to the CHRO, then CHRO reviews the plan. They typically go back and forth, and at the end, they approve the plan, or they'll say no, we're declining it, and you need to square away. So, diversity submitted all the paperwork required by CHRO, and the plan has been approved. So that was basically the first step. Then after that, what's supposed to happen is diversity is supposed to be filing paperwork on a monthly basis with CHRO, giving them status updates with the project. So I was explaining to Mark is that I don't think they've done that. I think all they've done is they filed and got their plan approved, but they haven't actually followed through again as they've done previously. You're talking earlier tonight about their follow through with paperwork. I don't think they've done that. So I said to Mark that I could reach out to CHR tomorrow and then ask them if they've gotten all the paperwork. And then what they'll do is once that's all done and they've validated everything, what they do is they'll send a letter typically to the contractor, and they CC the town that all the requirements have been met and that the town is authorized to release the retainage and release the retainage and basically pay the contractor. But we have not gotten that. At least, like I said, as of now, I don't recall seeing it.
Joe, can I ask a question?
Sure.
This is Mark Schweitzer, Colliers. Now, typical retainage is there's 5% retained on all contracts, and the only amount that is attributable to CHRO and holding for approval is the additional 2% on top of the 5%, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so what is the beginning of the project, what they'll typically tell the town to do is that we hold whatever retainage that we typically require, and in most cases the town of Fairfield requires 5%. So we take 5% as the town holds, and then in addition to that 5%, CHRO says to the town, we want you to hold an additional 2%. So for this project, we've held back 7%. So now we're at the stage where we're getting down to where if we're going to be releasing additional retainage that takes you below that 2%, and we don't have authority from the CHRO to release that, so that's a problem. So the town is saying, or I'm saying on behalf of the town, that we should have paperwork from CHRO that basically validates that diversity has met all the requirements.
Okay.
So if I understand it in simplest terms,
go ahead, Patrice.
we can't approve this because Mark indicated that the balance would go from 7% down to 4.5%. That puts us in a zone we don't want to be in according to Gerald and CHRO requirements.
Well, no, yeah. So it is. We have to hold. We can pay down until we're left with 2%. In other words, we have to hold 2% until we get the final sign-off from CHRO. But I think that when you're doing the approvals tonight, I mean, you can make them conditional upon my office receiving the paperwork. But what I'm saying is that I don't have the paperwork to release basically I don't have the paperwork from CHRO approving the release of those funds. So they're going to say the towns, we're not in compliance with their requirements.
Okay.
Which
Gerald,
is
Gerald,
contrary to the general statutes. But
well, yeah.
Gerald,
so I was.
Gerald?
Yes, Gerald.
Gerald, just first of all, what does CHRO stand for?
I don't have the acronym.
Commission on Human Rights Organizations. It's all about the Disabilities Act, Americans with Disabilities. You have to meet certain criteria in your renovations to make them happy.
And then the
David,
second thing.
It's David Stein. Just to clarify, it is the Office of Human Rights Organization. That's essentially what it is. This is dealing with contractor set aside and minority-owned businesses. So there's a percentage of work that needs to be distributed to essentially minority or women-owned businesses. That's really what we're dealing with. This is not an ADA, although ADA does fall under that organization. This is dealing with set-aside projects, and that's what we're talking about.
Okay, great. Then the other question I have is, how do we know that all those subs have been paid before we start paying out finals?
Right. So what we also should have was we should be getting a minimum the partial lien waivers, and then at the end we'll get final waivers. And I don't believe we've gotten those yet either.
Yeah, well, that's another reason for holding up too. Then.
Yeah, I guess for Mark and Dave, you guys have both approved these. So, I mean, have you been receiving conditional and unconditional lien waivers from them, but just not attaching them to the invoices that
not with the
seeing
pay
here,
app. They typically send them directly into purchasing.
I see.
Right, and if you recall in previous, back in the summer, we, or you as the committee, would approve these, again, conditional on that paperwork following through, because usually they need the application for payment to get back to the subcontractor to say, look, this was approved, it was signed, now give me the lien waiver, right? So it sort of all follows sort of one step behind the other. But our recommendation would be you approve it with those conditions, and then obviously Gerald has those, and that also includes the certified payroll, which actually is sent directly to the town, not sent to the architect or not sent to Colliers. It goes directly to the town. So it is typical that we look at the payment application and then that other paperwork follows, and it should follow shortly thereafter so it gets processed in a timely manner. But our recommendation would be to approve it conditionally like you have in the past.
Got it. And since we have two invoices from Diversity before us tonight, the first one, which is, I guess, pay app number 8, is the one that releases retainage down to 4.5%. Pay app number 9 releases the remainder of retainage down to 0, which, obviously we cannot do, at least not without the condition of receipt of CHRO approval by Gerald. So I guess, just sticking with the motion on the table, which is to approve pay app 8, the question I have for the committee is, the motion is without conditions right now. I would propose amending the motion to approve this invoice on the with the condition that
Gerald
purchasing department.
CHR.
Well,
Right.
for this one that they receive up-to-date lien waivers from diversity and all the subcontractors, as well as certified payroll.
And information from CHRO that they have received the documents from diversity that should have been submitted. Followed up on.
You want to make that a condition of this pay app that brings their retainage down to 4.5?
Yeah, I think he's. Well, is it going to do that if it goes through as just number 8, and if we separate out and do number 9?
Yeah, that's what I'm proposing, doing 8 and 9 separately. Because 8, I guess, if I understand Gerald correctly, 8, we have the authority to release that amount of retainage, the 40,000, whatever, the
48,534.
530.
Yeah. And still be in compliance with CHRO because we haven't gone down below that 2% level yet. Is that,
okay, so the amendment
understanding correct, Gerald? Gerald?
Yeah, it's Gerald Foley. Sorry, I was muting myself. Yeah, so that is correct. Yeah. So my concern is I said we should not be going below that 2%. The other piece too is, I mean, you as the committee, because like I said, they do have a lot of things that are open, so you can make that. You can say, well, in addition to whatever, I'm saying the minimum town has to hold is that 2%. But and that's again for the Kronos requirement. But you as the committee, you can go to that 5% and make that determination that you don't want to go below that 5% until they've met those other requirements. So that's, I guess, it's the chicken and the egg here in terms of what I'm just mentioning, that we don't want to go below the 2% area. Again, because we'll not be in compliance with the Kronos group.
Right.
You said he's got quite a bit open, Gerald?
The balance to finish, if we approve this invoice, would be almost $118,000 that we're still holding.
No. But
no, we'd be down to 68,000.
No,
we approved
you'd be down to 118,000.
That's not my point. The point was that diversity has quite a bit open with their subs. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no. My comment is the 5% is supposed to be. I'm considering a substantial completion component. So what I'm saying is that you as the committee. So we have the CHRO requirement of the 2%, and then we have the town requirement of the 5%. So I'm saying you as the committee make that determination. So I'm saying is that just as long as you guys are comfortable getting below your 5%, which again is that substantial completion component, and then the 2% is again we just have to. We told the diversity from the very beginning that's going to be held. So that's my point. So now you're getting into with not so much with this first one, but more so with the second one, where you're releasing you're well below that 5%.
Yeah,
but again,
that's never go. But forget it. The fight that's. You're at my minimum right there. Stop at 5%.
Right.
Okay, so it's Meredith. So Mr. Lang amended the motion to read that we will approve invoice 8 from diversity in the amount of $48,534.43 once the purchasing department has received CHRO approval, up-to-date lien waivers, and certified payable. That is the motion by Mr. Lang. I will second it. Do I have that right?
Yes. It's just instead of when, but conditional upon.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so is there any additional discussion from the committee on this invoice? All right. Not hearing any. All those in favor of approving this invoice, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And a nay.
Okay, so 5 ayes. Patrice is a nay and 0 abstentions.
And you can put next to my name. It's just too close to the minimum, and there's just been not enough good faith with diversity, in my opinion, at this time. The conditions helped me to hopefully go with a yay, but not enough.
Okay, thank you. We'll note that in the minutes. All right, the next invoice is, again, from Diversity, as we mentioned earlier, is payment application number 9, which is for $102,430.00, which is the release of all remaining retainage down to 0%.
Well, the retainage would be $10,300, which was determined by the punch list.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. And then, what's the remaining of the balance to finish then? The other 11,000, because this is shown as the balance to finish of 21,000.
Correct, and that is the dollar amount in dispute for change order 1.
Got it. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve this invoice? All right, not surprised. So not hearing any motion, we will table this invoice to until our next meeting.
Can I suggest approving it conditionally, or that's not even?
You can suggest it, but you're not going to get a vote on it that's going to come out the way you want.
I'm not willing to make that motion.
Neither am I.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, Mark, you can I think relay to Diversity the feeling of the committee is that they are not working expeditiously enough to wrap this job up. So
Right.
If they want the balance of their money, they need to start wrapping up their paperwork and closing this job out.
Okay. I will relay that message.
Thank you. All right, that was the last of the invoices. Next item on the agenda is under old business is an update on the potential plaque and ceremony. Patrice, do you have any news for us?
Yeah, I mean, well, the news that I have is we finally, I think, between you guys have come up with actually the names that go on the plaque, and I would just it's in I think it was Rich's last email. Did you get a copy of that, Meredith, with the Phase 1 January 2011 listing the chairman as Rich Speciale, vice chairman as Alfred Kelly, secretary as Leonard Amato, Miriam Frank, committee member Michael Giaquinto, Alfred Kelly, and Jared Keogh as committee members?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and then
That's right.
And then the only in that list of what you put out there, Richard and Meredith, was the question mark in Phase 2, which is under April 2013. Jane Albano Purcell was not given credit as vice chair, which you believe, Richard, that she held until held the position 2014 to 2021 with Gerard Keogh as vice chairman during a portion of that time as well.
Yeah, sounds right.
So we can simply add that and move her name up, to the top of that column.
When I looked at the minutes of the Special Project Standing Building Committee, when the Sherman Phase 2 is complete, Jane Purcell was not vice chair. That's what I saw. So I guess we better double check that.
Do you want me to call Jane herself and ask her, or do you want me to go back to Miss Carpenter and ask her?
Well, you can just, I emailed all the information that I cut and pasted from the town website. So I just went back through the old minutes on the town website and pulled up that year, or the year before when the officers were voted in, like in the November meeting. And the vice chair was not Jane Purcell. It was whoever I wrote down on that email to you.
Gerard. Rich, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I'm sorry. I just can't recall. I can't remember that far back. Sorry.
Well, I'm looking because I want to give final specs to Gerald as soon as possible. So I'm going to leave it as Jane Albano Purcell as a committee member then.
Yeah, if you look back, or I'll look back to those emails I sent you, I literally cut and pasted from the minutes. Everything.
Yeah, I did look through them, and that's the best that I could do. It was Rich that brought up this question mark. So if Rich, you're okay with it, then I don't have to go any further. If you'd like me to make inquiries through either Sal or Ms. Carpenter or any other way I can, I could certainly call Ms. Purcell and see what
Well, Jennifer Carpenter can't come up with it?
Jennifer Carpenter, I don't know if she can't come up with it. She hasn't in the past. Literally, Meredith has done a good bit of this research.
Well, everything.
Yeah, the other gal would be.
Yeah.
What was her name? Griffin?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Oh, I have that. I can try that too, even though she's no longer in that position. Okay, so
no, I know.
What I'm trying to say is we do need to get this mock-up defined, because it's going to take some time to order the plaque. Gerald, are you still on?
Yeah. Do you have Griffin's phone number? Can you talk to her? Because she's probably the one.
I sure will.
Yeah, this is Gerald Foley. I'm still here.
Okay, so I was hoping a finalization on that, but I'll check through that and run it back by the chairman and the secretary of the present committee. So the plaque in and of itself, as we saw before, Gerald submitted. I have two of them in my hand. The one for Penfield and the one for the Riverfield School renovation. And I think we need to go more in line with the school renovation plaque, pick a date of dedication or minimize it to a year. And then when we literally on neither of these dedication plaques is anything about, the composition of what occurred. It just says dedicated this date. I think because this was a 10-year scope and project, which is defined by the committee dates, there should be a statement to the fact this is dedicated. The project is dedicated on this date, which spanned a decade of work and service by the following committee members. Something that simple would be appropriate. Does anybody have anything else they would say?
So sorry. Say what were you proposing again, Patrice?
Well, I as I said, if you look at the River School renovation, it just says dedicated September 10th, 2015. I think, we say dedicated this day and pick a date, January or whatever, 2021, spans the work of the committees over a decade. And just identifying that it was a decade's worth of commitment to complete the renovation and the remodeling renovation of this school.
Yeah.
Dedicated this date by, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. No, I think that's fine, because I think anything else you're going to get pretty.
Yeah, we don't want to get worried.
You'll probably get pretty verbose, if you're describing all the work over the number of phases. So.
Exactly, and I think just referring to the decade of service by the committee members then leads right into the 3 columns of committee members, and we decided not to include all the other salutations for construction and purchasing and all that other stuff, and we are not doing, according to you guys last time when I talked, either the first selectman or the superintendent or the principals either. We're going to keep this very simple.
Volunteers,
right?
Yeah. That's right.
So I will put volunteers in the dedication statement. So I will get this completed, do the mock-up, send it to Gerald, get an idea of price, and then that way when we meet next time, you'll be able to approve it or deny it or change the wording completely, okay? And as far as the ceremony, I have to ask you guys, I contacted the former citizen photographer who now works for the Patch, the one who takes the pictures of the selectmen in front of the new businesses to see what we could get on. And quite frankly, without a date or time, they wouldn't commit to anything, and suggested that we bring our own photographer, submit our pictures to both the Patch and Citizen and a few other places and see what gets in. So I think that we, on that note, I think as far as the ceremony goes, we should send invitations to every committee member on it, the principals, certainly those people who were involved in constructing it, hire ourselves a photographer, get a few different photos of the different groups that were involved, make a little folder of it, give it to Mr. Banner, keep it in the school, and it'll be a nice reflection of how dedicated the community is into accomplishing this task.
Can I just jump in? It's Christine. We just did renovation plaques for Holland Hill and Ludlow, and they recognized the superintendent and the first select person for the project, just the role that they played in just approving it and securing funding and moving it forward to even get it started. So just throwing it out there.
You realize, Christine, though, that we over a 10-year period, there were numerous people, including 2 different selectmen, 3 different superintendents, and principal at least 2.
Just wanted to share what the most current plaques are saying, being that you mentioned Riverfield. Just there's been other plaques done since that dedication. That's all. I respect obviously the committee's decision on that.
Okay.
Thank you, Christine.
When I work with Gerald on the composition, we'll see what room is available on the plaque for any additionals, and we can always, before we get final approval from the committee, we can make a final decision there. All right. In the meantime, I'll get the names of those school involvements that you may or may not, the committee may or may not feel is necessary. Okay, guys, is that all right with you?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And one last thing, do you think that, I mean, we're looking to complete this as soon as possible. That's why I want to start working with Gerald on this. Do you think that we could anticipate, needing this plaque sometime by February, March at the latest, or how much time do you think?
I think February, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay, so Gerald and I really have to. I'll call you tomorrow, Gerald.
Well, you don't need to get them. Just saying. I hope the project is done by then.
I'm sorry. What was that?
I just am hoping the project is officially done by February, so then I guess the date on the plaque would be February. It doesn't necessarily have to go up on the building in February.
Okay. Would you guys like the end date to be January 2021? Because it started in January 2011. That is a decade of service, a decade of, want to keep it within that?
Yeah. It'll look nice graphically.
Just historic, if I went back to phase 2, I think the finish date was in April, but that's just because that was, I'm just trying to remember this, it's a little bit old, but that's when the building committee met to accept the project or finalize the project. So even though the work was really done, I think a few months before that, it wasn't officially done until April, and that's why I picked that date for the end of phase.
Okay, I get that, but I think that each phase will also have a date,
Right. Whatever you want is fine with me.
I think, to avoid any confusion, we can kind of maybe just go with the year and eliminate the months to be sure. And the same thing with the dedication. From 2011 to 2021 would be more succinct than January to January,
Right.
If we stick with that theme of, a decade of dedicated service to complete the project. That's it.
Yeah.
I personally think we just need to keep it as simple as possible.
I will have mock-ups for the committee at the next meeting.
Great.
Okay, and again, for the ceremony thing, as I said, I'll ask you for consideration of hiring a photographer and of issuing or creating invites to the committee members and anybody else the committee might feel could come for a photography session or dedication session.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we'll hopefully have everything more or less ironed out at our next meeting and get it calendared.
Yes.
Great. Any other old business anyone on the committee would like to raise? All right, not hearing any. Any new business? All right, not hearing any. So with that, I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Good night.
Yes, second.
Second.
Good night, everybody.
Right.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye. Favor, yeah, aye.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.